Clarity is the first thing. And I'm talking about clarity for you in terms of, what the heck do you want your business to be about? Billie Jean told me that you guys are recording videos where you're saying, that this is who you get, ROI and results for, right? That's step number one, right? Is making sure just that you're really, really crystal clear. Here is who I'm going to serve and how I'm going to serve them and how I'm going to be different about that, right? Because in case you guys haven't noticed, there's a lot of people out there that we're competing against, right, in this industry. So just getting really, really clear on that. And that's hard work. How many people here for their business have like their mission statement really clearly articulated and written out? Handful of people. Core values. Okay, handful of people. Those are the types of things I'm talking about. It sounds floofy a little bit, maybe, but when you start hiring people to work under you and you don't have that stuff clear and you can't tell them, hey, here's where we're going. And if it's not super clear to you to be able to say, here's where we're going, there's the mountaintop, that's the mountain we're climbing, and that's how we'll know when we got there. If that's not just crystal clear to you, you can't expect it to be crystal clear for anybody else, can you?
And we're dealing with that shit right now as we're hit that 22, and now we're kind of like, holy shit, we actually have to define these things because you have people who are working there, and I'm like, I don't even get to talk to them, which you don't think about that when you're at the smaller stage because you see everyone every day, and you're like, everyone kind of gets it. But when the second we're like, you're too busy, you can't even talk to your own people, and there's no guideline to set it up, this is exactly the kind of shit that we're like, oh, fuck me.
And it's absolutely predictable. I mean, if I didn't come down to your office one more time for the next year, I could tell you exactly the issues that you're going through.
Yep.
Because you're just at that phase in this type of a business, right? Where all of a sudden, you're adding millions of dollars of revenue, you're adding team, all that type of stuff.
And that's one of the books that you recommended, Scaling Up by Vern Harnish.
Yep,
that's what it's about. It tells you, if you're at this stage in business, this is what you're going through. And that's when you realize you're not fucking unique. You're just like every other business, and you're going through growing pains like anybody else.
Exactly, yeah. So clarity is number one. The last thing I would say about clarity is clarity about what you want from your business. I don't think enough people talk about that. It's so sexy to talk about, oh, his business went from, 0 to 25 million, over the course of 2 years or whatever the numbers are. And that's so exciting to just talk about those big numbers. But I have met so many entrepreneurs who have done that and are completely frickin' miserable. Seriously. Because if you think that shit gets easier because you added $25 million in revenue to your life in the course of 24 months, I can guarantee you, yes, there were a lot of things that got easier, I'm not gonna lie, and there are a lot of things that were more fun, took his whole team to Disneyland recently, right? I mean, that stuff's awesome, but there's a lot of challenges that come with that. So what do you want from your business? When I was younger, I was in Silicon Valley during the first .com boom, and you didn't exist in Silicon Valley unless you would raise money from venture capitalists, right? You might as well just not exist. And so I bought into that like crazy, and I was completely miserable in that whole world. But I just bought into, well, that's what you had to do. And thankfully, I for whatever reason, I had the presence to kind of step back and give myself the grace to say, hey, you know what? That may be right for a lot of people, and that may be the stuff that's getting all the headlines right now, but I need to figure out what's right for me. And just figure out, hey, is that a little office by the beach like I have right now versus a bunch of offices across the country and a bunch of employees? What's right for me? So I'd say just take the time, give yourself the time to get clear on that stuff and do it as early as possible. When you're just getting going and money's just coming in and you're kind of just getting momentum, you may be looking at me going, Mike, what is all this shit? I don't have time to slow down and do this right now. But I'm telling you, if you want to go faster, it's the most important thing that you can do.
100%, and that's a mistake that I would say that we've made as an organization is seeing these challenges coming ahead and not doing anything about them until they come. Yeah. And so now we're at a point where we can't even grow right now if we want to because we're at capacity. We have 2,000 people in the gene pool now. There's about 600 or 700 of you guys. Then we have all of our agency shit, and it's just 22 of us in the office. And now we're actually at capacity in our office, as you guys were just in it, to even do. And so now we're in this predicament where we have to say, what the fuck are we going to do? So that's Daniel. When I brought in Daniel, I don't know if I can, where you at, Daniel? He's somewhere over there. Those are the discussions that we'll have, and he's our CEO. Those are discussions that we have, and we're trying to figure out, well, fuck, where are we going to be in those next 2-3 years? And what Mike's saying with the clarity is it's really a decision, right? We'll end up where we fucking choose to be. And so now we have to decide like what it is. And so this is really resonating right now. So you guys don't make the same stupid mistake I did.
I appreciate, I don't know about you guys, I always appreciate his authenticity, right? Because he's not just saying, oh, everything is perfect, right? So the first A in CARMA, A, stands for alignment then. And alignment, that's what he's talking about, you know, with team. And he doesn't even have time to talk to his team, right? And that's reality. That's what happens. There is a day, I guarantee you, some of the people that have been around Billie Jean, you know, since it was just Billie Jean doing the hustle, and he was talking to his close friends, and I'm sure he was like, come on, I'm going someplace, I promise. Like, just come and hang out with me a little bit. I promise you'll get paid, you know, at some point here, that type of thing. Those people that have been along for that ride, they bought into that vision a long time ago. They bought into Billie Jean a long time ago. And they used to have, I'm sure, endless FaceTime with Billie Jean every day. Like, every day it was just, all right. Yeah.
Me and Rena used to eat together lunch every
Yeah,
single day.
totally. Yeah, I mean,
now she just asked me to buy her food and send me a Venmo.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's very bad.
But as you grow, of course, that has to change, right? So how do you create alignment with your team? And again, that comes from clarity first, right? How do you create alignment? And whether this is, so like we right now don't have a lot of employees. We have lots of subcontractors. We have, you know, just contractors all over the world. It's the exact same thing. How do we create that alignment with all of them? And by alignment, you know, the clarity of that message about where we're going and, you know, why it's important that we get there and all that type of stuff. But then also just the practical stuff of how do we communicate as a team? How do I make sure that, you know, when I woke up in the morning and I said that my first priority, the biggest priority at the company was X, how do I make sure that the other people in the organization got that message and then know what to do with it? Right?
And do you mind sharing some of those? Because, I mean, you guys work with a lot of
Oh, sure,
contractors,
yeah.
like,
A bit abstract to me, I don't get it. So alignment is saying is communicating what you're being clear about. What is alignment? Can you define it?
Yeah, alignment to me is just, I mean, the simplest terms, just everybody knowing where we're going and how they fit into that.
So the distinction between clarity?
Clarity comes from you and your message. That is clarity. Clarity about your message, about where the company is going, who we are, what we're about, core values, all that type of stuff. Alignment is more of the practical, kind of like the handoff of that stuff. Like, how do I make sure that everybody in the company actually understands that message? I can guarantee you, as soon as you think that you're crystal clear about, hey, I've got that, everybody in my company knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you go and you get all 25 people in a room and you ask them, you know, you guys know, right? Repeat it back. And you will get, I mean, it's like playing that game of telephone, right? And everybody's message is going to be different. And Jack Welch, you know, controversial guy, but I think one of the best managers maybe in history, and one of his famous quotes was that you have to just repeat your message so many times internally to your employees, repeat the same message so many times that when you're at the point where you're just like so sick of yourself saying the same thing and you're sure that everybody else is too, that's just about the point that you're doing enough of it. Like, that was the thing. Like, I have to make sure that I'm just drilling it in every day because people, you know, they've got their own priorities, they've got their own stresses.
And
They've
why
got a
don't
million
we
things
play
happening.
that game real fast of telephone with these first couple rows right here, just to kind of point out how important clarity and alignment is and how easily things can go out of alignment. And in the name of this Don Julio here, appreciate it. So I'm going to whisper something to Rena here. And then I will tell Paul and Nick what it is. We'll go over to my man in the hat right there, and we will see if the message is the same. Does anybody want to take bets on this? Does anybody want to vote that will get it right?
Yes.
Believe. Of
like,
course,
I'm
the
gonna get
first
it right.
person would say some shit like that. Yeah, that's going to work. All right, you ready for this? Here we go. Let's see what happens. I'll tell them the truth of what it is.
Alfalfa is not a real person.
Got it. So, Candy, did we already fuck it up? Is it?
I don't think I'm allowed to say it again.
This is what you were talking about with repetition. You have to say it so many times so it doesn't get broken.
He's like,
Let's end it right there. Let's just play one row of it, and let's just see. Jason.
You ready?
Yes.
Elvis not a real person.
What was it?
Alfalfa.
Alfalfa is not a real person.
Oh, wow.
Alfalfa is not a real person, which is
bad.
obviously something we
Alfalfa
talk about
Elvis.
every day. So that was alfalfa and buckwheat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Silly fucking game, but what he's saying is so real. Even with just the 1 or 2 VAs that you have. Like, so remember earlier when I gave an example and I said, if you really want them to get it right, you need to video it a few different times and show them the video. Because a video, you can pause, you can rewind, etc. Messages get fucking broken down and out of alignment. Hashtag cool game.
That's right. All right, so the R stands for roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities, okay? And that's one that, again, I think seems obvious to a lot of people. Okay, well, yeah, people have to know their roles and responsibilities. But being really thoughtful about what are the roles that I need in the organization to allow me to scale, right? To allow me to take that next step, or to allow me to focus on what I need to do and what I do best, right, at the organization, right? Billy Jean needs to sell. He needs to have his face on camera. He needs to be out there. That means he needs to have people on his team that can support all of the other things that need to get done. Having clarity about what those roles and those responsibilities are. And again, to try and make it practical tools, one of the most important things that we ever did in our company was we had what we called a passport. When somebody came on board as an employee, they got a passport. And their passport was a document that laid out, here's your role, here's who you report to, here's who reports to you, here's what your manager is expecting of you, the outcomes that that manager is expecting of you, here's how they're measuring your performance, okay? And then what they had to do was then they had to take that passport. There was a reason it was called a passport is they had to get stamps on it where they had to go around to everybody else in the company in their first week when they were hired, and they had to find out what everybody else's roles and responsibilities were. And they had to be able to clearly understand that and communicate that to get a passport stamp on their passport. So just a simple little thing like that
That's good shit.
made a huge difference in people understanding, oh, wait a minute, I know what you do. I mean, how many people have started a job where you come in there and you sit down and somebody's like, all right, there's your keyboard, and there's where you get coffee, and good luck. And you're like, oh, shit, And it's like, it's kind of like 120 days before you feel like you're even contributing to the place. We can't afford that. Right? You can't afford to wait 120 days before somebody's contributing. Like, you got to get them up and running right away.
A mistake that we are currently making, because what happens is you get so caught up in your day-to-day shit that you feel like you don't have time to train. How many of you feel like that right now? If you hired someone, you just wouldn't even have the time to train them. That's part of the issue. You got to pump your brakes and set these things so you don't wind up in that situation and get stuck. And also, too, before I forget, roles and responsibilities, let's talk about a basic framework for your agency that we use, and you guys should write this down really quick. So when we were at most scale, and this goes back to what we talked about in the beginning of the day, of you need a predictable and consistent way of getting leads all of the time. You always have to be making offers. You got to be able to close. You got to be able to retain, right? And you got to be able to get them results. All those things come hand in hand. And so the basic framework of this agency model that we're laying out is this. And I'll give you guys a new page for it, my beautiful handwriting. So number one, for us, when we were really fucking revving it up, is we had an appointment setter. The appointment setter's entire job was to fucking book appointments for me at the time, sell, which is still my role. Now I just do it differently on camera with videos to the masses, etc. And then from there, you have the closer, which was me. And then from here, we had the account manager whose job was to get results and retain. Okay, this is really the framework of what we did. So Justin, who's in the back, he joined us. Everyone say, congratulations, Justin, on becoming a dad 2 days ago. There we go. Again, for the second time. So, and Justin will tell you, he literally, what'd you do? You sat upstairs all day and you called people and you just said, can you schedule the time to talk with our CEO? Like straight up, that's all he did all day long. That was a whole job by itself. And then it would come to me, who would come in, do the damn thing, bring them through the walkthrough that you guys are familiar with, and good. And then from there, it would come to Rena, who was the account manager, and she would focus on getting them results. That was like our little 3-man/woman team to repeat again and again and again. And then as you got more accounts, we realized, okay, if it wasn't the same niche, Rena could handle about 30, 10 clients, but we need some people to help support this as we grow beyond that. So then we got more account managers, which Jordan and Rhea came into play. And then Rena was more overseeing what they were doing. Is that making sense to everybody? Is that helpful to kind of lay out and say, look, here's our first hires? So one thing that most of you probably need right now, and it only comes after you've mastered the results section for yourself. I see it happen too many times where you'll pawn off getting results on somebody else. That's the whole fucking business. You have to understand it yourself. So again, now, am I in there building Facebook ads campaigns? No, I haven't done that shit in 2 years. But at the high level, the strategic shit, you guys obviously know that's what I do. That's all I do. But you have to know that before you pass it. Then once you do, then you can get a Rena who's gonna come in and execute. But if not, then I wouldn't even know what they were doing, if they were doing it correctly, etc. So again, for most of you right now, the next step you're probably at is finding that account manager. And the more variables that you give them, the harder it is to train them. So that's why it's so important you focus on that niche, because they're gonna run into a lot of the same problems again and again and again, and they'll know how to handle them. But the second you gave them a chiro, a dentist, a gym, a physical product, and said, what the fuck, why aren't you doing anything correctly? Well, shit. You expected them to learn an entire decade what it's taken you guys to invest into your career in 2 months. It's unreasonable, okay? So, I feel you.
Yeah, and it's so important, if you're a one-person show, right? It's so important that you know from day one that you are doing all of those roles right now.
Yeah.
You have to know that. That's one of the biggest challenges I see in people growing their business is they just don't have awareness that they are actually playing multiple roles. And that they have to, at some point or another, if they want to grow, you have to peel off one of those roles and give it to somebody else, or there is no way that you're going to grow.
And you know what, Mike? I think a big holdback for you guys why you don't do that is because you look at the money, right? So for example, when if this is all just Billy, let's put a B right here, then I'm collecting all the money for 3 different jobs. So then when it comes to hire out, you say, oh, fuck, I don't want to pay somebody to schedule. That's going to kill my margins. Then you say, oh, shit, I don't want to pay a closer. That's going to kill my margins. Oh, shit, I don't want to do that. That's going to kill my margins. Oh, fuck, I don't want to report that on my taxes. That's going to kill my margins. So what you realize is the difference right now between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. You feel that? That's the difference, is to really make a profit and to go to where you want to go. This is the truth that you're looking at. It fucking sucks at first because it's like, holy shit, that looks expensive. But once you get these processes in place and you have them set up, that's what allows you to scale to the next level. But at some point, you have to have the honest conversation with yourself of, oh shit, I'm not going to make as much money as I thought I'm going to because I'm going to invest into other people. And if you're not willing to do that, your business will stay complacent where it is and you will not grow. Little truth hurts right there. Little truth hurts. All right.
Yeah, and a lot. I know a number of you know my business partner, Josh Clifford. We've been business partners now for over a decade. And I can still remember perfectly clearly. He'll tell you this story. Like, when we started our first business, it was a service business just like that exact structure. And I'm a sales guy, and I'm running around selling. And I literally sat him down at a desk with a computer and a phone, and I said, one day, and I don't know when it is, but one day I'm going to make that phone ring. And when it happens, you better frickin' take care of the problem that's on the other end of that phone, or we're screwed. And he was just like, shit. He was like, no pressure. I was like, yeah, I know, I get it. But, he was the fulfillment guy. And I was the sales guy. So I was running around selling. And finally, got the phone to ring. And somebody said, hey, I need help, right? And thank goodness he took care of them. But then almost immediately after that, before I had 2 nickels to rub together, I went out and hired a salesperson. Because I knew with the business that we were trying to build, I could not be out feet on the street selling every day, or we just weren't going to get anywhere. I had to have somebody who was filling the pipeline all the time. And I hired that guy and got him out there. Like I said, we didn't have any money, at all. And it was just, creative selling on, hey, here's why you want this job, and here's why you're not going to get paid hardly anything right now, and yada, yada. But, made it work. And those two guys, man, both those guys were with me all the way through to the sale of the business. Because, why? Clarity and alignment. Clarity and alignment. Because I had a vision, and I could sell them, and I could get them excited about that. I could clarify for them what their roles were, what they needed to do to be successful, to make us successful, so we could get up that mountain. They were energized by that, and that's what allowed that to work. Okay? So roles and responsibilities, we did. Last one is ascension, or actualization. What's that? Oh, M, I'm sorry, M, measurement. M, measurement. Okay? Measurement is M. Okay? Finish the sentence. What gets measured gets, oh shit. What gets measured gets managed. Okay? If you guys need to drill that into your head before you leave this place. What gets measured gets managed. Okay? That is the perhaps most important single thing you can learn about how to run a business in terms of day-to-day operations and make it get better, is you've got to measure the right things. If you are not measuring the right things, your business will not go in the direction that you want it to. Period, end of sentence. We are goal achievers. That's what entrepreneurs are. We are strivers. If you put a number up on the wall and you tell Billy Jean that's a 7, other people are at a 10. That dude is not going to sleep until he gets up past a 10, right? He's going to ram his head through a wall to get that number to a 10. That's what we do, right? So if you are not clear about, hey, this is my most important number, and this is the measure of success of that most important number, then you're in big trouble, okay? And then if you can't give that clarity to every single person on your team, you're in big trouble. My account manager, the number for them is how long does a client stay a client? Period, end of sentence. Yes, there's all kinds of other ways that I can measure you, but an account manager needs to know that their number one measure is how long does a client stay a client. If Billy Jean has gone out and done all the hard work, spent all the money to get a new client on board, and that client leaves after 4 months, the business is dead. The business doesn't work. You're on a treadmill. You got money going out to get clients and then going out the other side. Yeah, you had a client in between there, and woo, we had success because we brought somebody on board. It doesn't make any difference if they just go away 4 months later. You haven't made any money. You have not made any money. So that's their number. That's their metric. You've got to figure out those metrics. You've got to figure out that one metric that's most important right now for your organization. And then you've got to figure out those metrics for the individuals that are contributing to make that metric work. Okay? What gets measured gets managed. Most important management tip that I ever learned was from actually the partner of Vern Harnish at Gazelles that you mentioned scaling up. His partner is Patrick Thean, who now has his own business called Rhythm Systems. That's cool management tools and stuff like that to help you manage and grow your business. And his strategy, his approach, which I just absolutely love, was that every employee in the team, every employee in the company has their one metric, and they have to have it laminated, hanging on their office door or a wall or whatever it is, where it's completely visible for everybody to see. The goal number has to be up there, and then their current number where they're at has to be up there, so everybody can see it. And then they need to have a red, a yellow, or a green. Good old stoplight, right, system. We all understand it. Green, I'm on track to achieve my metric. Yellow, there's some risk, but I think I've got a plan to figure it out. Red, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Fired.
When do you usually find that out, Mr. Manager and business owner? When do you usually find out there's a red light?
Too
like
late after the
45 days after it mattered?
Yeah.
Right? They have to have every single day, here's my green light, my yellow light, and my red light. And then he said the one thing that you need to do to be an effective manager is you just need to walk up to the person's metric hanging on the wall where everybody can see it, preferably when there's a lot of people around, cross your arms, look at it, and go, and walk away. And that's it. Because we've got that person there like, what the hell? Like, I'm working, I'm trying to make my metric work, right? But that's all you need. If they have that clarity and alignment to know that's my role and responsibility to make that measure, right, to hit that metric, then they can operate, they can run, they can do what he's expecting them to do, even if he's not there, even if he can't talk to him every day in person, right? So that's what it is. A then is actualization. or actualization and ascension. So actualization, what I mean by that, a couple things. This goes back to what I said around clarity about what you want as an entrepreneur, okay? As an entrepreneur, I guarantee you with all the success that you're going to have that you will get to a point one day where you will go, I've been working my ass off for years now, 80 hours a week, whatever it is, sacrificing this, sacrificing that, and then I'm not sure that I'm actually happy. I'm not sure that I'm where I want to be. And I think it's so important that you guys spend time on that. Like I said, give yourself the grace, give yourself the room to really think about that and to make sure that what you're doing with your business serves you and not the other way around. Way too many of us build businesses where we're just serving the business all day long. It's all about the business. Grow, 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 grow. But you started that business to serve you, right? There was something that you wanted personally out of your life that you said, hey, a business is the best way to get it. And for most of us, that's freedom, right? And then there's finances that typically go along with that. Some of you, it's like, man, I just want to be able to travel. I just want to be able to travel. Like, that's the most important thing. I want to be able to see the world, and I want to be able to work off of a laptop and a cell phone. I love it. I get it, right? Making sure that you're constantly checking in with that, okay? And then when it comes to employees, those of you who end up having a team, building a team, if that's what you're all about, I think the most important hard lesson that I've learned probably over the last 5 years in particular, I think I got this right earlier in my career, I think I've screwed it up pretty bad recently, is that there's a lot of people out there right now, really, really talented people, that pay is pretty freaking far down on their list of priorities. Right? Yeah, we all need to make ends meet, and we all know, but there's a lot of people out there that what they really care about is those things that we talked about first. What's the mission? What mountain are we climbing? Where are we going? What is it like to work with this team every day? Are we actually doing something? Are we actually creating something that I'm going to be proud of? Right? Do I have a group of people that I come to work with every day that I'm actually excited about and care about, and I know that they care about me? Right? Those things are so much more important than just pay. So when I say actualization, I'm talking about self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Once we get those base things kind of taken care of, hey, I'm paying my bills, I'm eating, all that type of stuff, the security issues are kind of taken out of play. How do you then create your business and create opportunities that allow the good people that are working with you, whether they're contractors or they're employees, to meet their needs? Because if you can do that, they'll be with you forever. They'll be loyal. They'll work like a dog. They won't feel like an employee. They'll feel like a partner because they'll do anything to win for you.
I'll throw something on that too. If I had to add a letter to this, if that's possible, because it's so much good shit, but would be F for flexibility. And what I mean by that
CARMA?
is... Yeah.
CARMA,
yes. CARMA. And what I mean by that is, as you're talking about like actualization and kind of understanding like what you want like from your business, why'd you start in the first place, to realize that that changes. So I cannot tell you when we first came in, it was like, well, fuck, I just want to make money and do all this ignorant shit and da-da-da. And then me and Rena were there, and we had like this cool client, and it was like all physical products. So like once we got the campaign, we didn't really do much. We're just like, fuck it, let's just go do whatever and just make sure these campaigns are going good. So then it became kind of like the freedom thing. And then when Facebook flew us to the office, for me, like my perspective changed to fuck. Look at the impact that this company is having on, yet alone the world, but the employees there. You walk around, they have a giant campus, and you just get all these vibes. I'm like, holy shit, like you only find so much happiness from the security. Once you get past the security thing, all of a sudden you start to think about like how you make your money, etc. And so I would say just keep that in mind. Like what you want right now, once you get there, your desires may completely change, which may change the way that you run your business. So for example, most of you know that like for many years, our focus was agency. There was actually a time where I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was only going to be physical products because I didn't want to fucking do that. Like I just wanted to be by myself. That's where I was at in my life. And now I can't imagine not fucking communicating with you guys every single day are listening to Casey and Ashley fucking yell at each other. Like I can't think about those things. You know what I mean? So that changed though. And who knows, it may change again where it's like, oh shit, we have so much content out in 2 years, where I say, fuck it, agency only, whoosh, and we back off. I don't know. So I would say just be open-minded to the fact that what you want now will change.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
And how does that affect your business?
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, and I'll wrap it up real quick, is that we live in a world. I just read the statistics recently. It's shocking the number of people in America now, and in other countries, I think it's much higher numbers. But then the percentage of people in America now that primarily kind of designate themselves as like being a part of the gig economy. They're not working for an employer. They're just, I've got talents and I'm just picking up jobs here and there, contracts here and there and stuff like that. I mean, we've been talking about that in the United States for quite some time, and the internet makes it, just easier to do that. But now it's like on a percentage basis, I think it's just now gone over 50% of people in America that say that is my, relationship in the work world, is I'm a gig economy, person. They have their own set of needs, right? It's different than an employee. The contract that we have as employer-employee is different than the one where, you know what, you could go get another gig tomorrow. I'm not paying you a ton of money. I'm not paying you full-time on all that type of stuff. I have to give you a reason to want to stay and do this work for me, right? Because what you guys all should learn very quickly from Billie Jean, if you haven't yet, is the beauty and the joy of firing a freaking client who's a pain in the ass, right? Woo! Yeah, woo! Yeah, you have to. You have to. And so you've got to figure out, well, how do I keep those people happy so they don't fire me? And that's where I feel like actually we're having great success now, is we're finding all of these people out there who don't have to work for us. A lot of them don't even need the money. They don't need to work, but they want to because they're getting something out of it. They want to be a part of an organization that excites them and do things that they think are interesting. And so how do we serve those needs with our organization? Okay, so just being very conscious of those things. Like I said, depending on where you are right now, if you're adding team members, and this is really going to resonate with you. If you're not, please write it down and keep it, because one day you'll find it really, really, really useful. All right? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
My good. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And you guys, let's do some quick Q&A. Just because I feel like you opened up a whole can of worms with Karma. And so if you guys have any questions for Mike or myself, we can kind of talk about and maybe focus this towards scaling, growing, what are the next steps, and we'll pass around the mic. And then Taylor, if you can grab the other one too, these ones.
Oh, those?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want me to stand up? Or
Yeah, if you can stand up, say your name, all that good stuff.
I'm Chris Braden from Colorado. Two things for you.
Colorado. Woo-hoo.
Number one, the 12 books in the mastermind group.
Yeah.
Can we get a list of those?
Yeah.
Just free plus shipping. And we'll do the
Yeah,
list.
free plus- yeah.
I'll buy them. I just want to read
No,
them.
of course. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get a list. Yeah, pull
And
together.
then number two, your sales guys that you brought on, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now, bringing in
Yeah.
the first couple of employees, the account manager and stuff. But when you're bringing on a salesperson, what was the number one trait you looked for in those people?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. We have hired and fired so many salespeople over the course of our career. It's unbelievable. The single most important thing to me is that they've got to just be competitive as hell. I almost always exclusively hire ex-athletes for salespeople. Just because they have to be, athletes are measured, especially today, right? They're measured constantly. If you want an eye-opening experience, for those of you who haven't been to like a real Division I athletics program, to get the opportunity to kind of go and tour through there and see how they're measured every day, all day, are they making progress? Are they, everything, right? They learn that, I've got to hit that number. I mean, they're machines at it. That's what their personality is all about. So that's the thing, because sales is all about hitting a number, right? It's all about, here's your target that month. You don't rest until you hit it, right? So that is the single most important thing.
Oh, there we go. And coincidentally on that, so Justin, I don't know where he went, but when I hired Justin, ex-athlete, played college football. Ironically, we never talked about that before. But now he's doing our sales, and and running our sales now. But he was a great, fantastic college football athlete, gross wide receiver. Now he's Texas basketball. But that's like not here or there. Not here or there. But when we brought him in, but before that, Justin was doing construction. He was holding signs. This one, stop, go, come here, there. And then he hit me up one day and he's like, fuck, man, I can't build my family on this. Now he just had another daughter. He's like, I got to get out of this stuff. Like, I see you guys growing. What can I do? And then I knew that, like, competitive. I said, well, fucking, man, you can do some sales. And that's where he started. Granted, he never did anything in the first place. But there's a couple of reasons why I made that investment. It wasn't just because he was a competitive athlete, but it was also because I knew I could invest in him for the long term. One thing you find about building an organization, hiring and firing people, it takes so much to train somebody and to get them like where you want them to be, where they want to be. So when you lose someone after training, putting in that time, effort, resources, et cetera, it's frustrating. So the biggest thing for me with Justin is I know he's here for life. He believes in the mission at a greater level, and I'm always for investing into people as long as they're really there for the long haul and for the bigger picture. And so for me, that was something huge. Is like, is this person really down for like the giant cause he was, and can they be coached? Yep. One thing he's also great at is taking direction. And so like if you listen to, well, you guys have spoken to, many of you, to Justin on the phone now, but the way that I taught Justin how to sell is I said, just sit next to me and listen. And literally, we would do calls next to each other every day for like a year. Mm-hmm. So now, if you listen to Justin on the phone, they're like, you just sound like Billy. That's the fucking point. And so, but we worked together and got that synergy and mixed it up, so.
Can I say, just related to that, my biggest mistake that I made with salespeople that cost me a fortune over the years is cutting too slow. Cutting too slow, because I was too weak, honestly. Like, I get to like people, and I want you to be successful, and you're a good person, and you're going to do great, and I just want to coach you, and surely I can coach you into, being successful, right? But if their measure is to make 100 calls every day, and all of a sudden, they're 3 weeks into it, and they made 70 calls today, and you're like, whoa, that's a strike. And our policy became 3 strikes, you're out. And it was just black and white. Yeah, I was sorry, like that was the 3rd strike, you're done. Because if they're that personality that can leave the office that day without going, well, God, I got to get the 30 more dials in. I've got to get it in. It's the wrong person. They may be the best person in the world. You may love them, but it's just the wrong person.
Man, and to piggyback off his piggyback is the trust your gut. I cannot tell you how many people have been in an organization who, and this is my fault, who I've thought they weren't a good fit for 6 months. And I'm just sitting there every day hoping for like a change or something, it's a fucking miracle or something miraculous to happen. And I end up just wasting that time, the resources, and sure enough, it happened when it needed to happen. But it's been like fucking clockwork. I mean, I tell you, like every single person who I was like, I don't like that person, why the fuck did we hire him? Here we go, we're stuck, what's gonna happen? It didn't end up working out.
Yeah.
So
some point or another. Yeah.
Do it fast. As soon as you have the second, take it. Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Question. How do you determine like the cultural points for your organization? Like, do you implement them, or do you get a team to do it? Like, how do you decide on those points?
When you say,
like creating culture. Like,
okay, so I guess culture to me primarily comes from, to a large degree, just from the founder and their personality, typically, but also primarily from core values.
Yeah, that's
right.
I'm sorry, core values. That's
Okay, core values. Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's an interesting thing, and it's a challenging thing. I mean, in our businesses, we go back and forth on this stuff over the course of years, literally, like kind of fine tuning and tweaking it because your organization is changing, like what it's all about changes and stuff like that. But to me, it's kind of a blend of who does that company need to be to take care of the clients, serve the clients that you're trying to, or customers that you're trying to serve. And then part of that has to be, again, largely driven from the founder. Like, what is the environment? What is the thing that I want to create that I'm going to be proud of at the end of the day, right? So things like, being trustworthy, and having integrity and stuff like that, right? And I think the big danger is that you could just sit down and you could kind of go, well, every business should have these core values, right? We should all be trustworthy and high integrity and blah, blah, blah. So let's just write them all down, and there's our values.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, you've got to make it personal. You've got to make it something that's true to you and your organization so that it means something. Like, some of those things you shouldn't even have to write down on paper. I shouldn't have to write down that we should have a business that's trustworthy, right? Well, if I'm in the internet marketing world and I'm selling
Write it down 3 times.
and I'm selling information products to people who are entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out their business opportunity and start a business, don't you think that maybe saying, hey, everybody in this freaking company that's associated with us, I want you to know that our #1 core value is to be trustworthy. Do you think that that could be a differentiating factor in that business?
That's a good fact.
Right? Absolutely. So you better in that business have that one down on paper and call it out. If you're worth a lick in this industry, right? You better be able to say to people, hey, we're about that. Because if you're not going to last long in this business, or you're going to have people out there just saying bad things about you everywhere, right? Because that's critical in this industry.
And with culture, I mean, it's so important, at least for us, to really build a team of people who enjoy each other. So if you walk into our office at 6 o'clock, almost the entire team is there. You're just there working. Like there's no culture of just like clocking out right away. We understand that we work hard as shit. We work long, and now we kind of take pride in that. But it's also because you enjoy each other. Sometimes people are there doing nothing but just talking shit or waiting for a friend because they want to walk with them and catch up on their lives, etc. So making sure that you guys like each other is fucking important. And I think our team, we're very unique, but we're also very similar, and we all really fucking like each other. And I hope that comes off in our community of like, we really like you guys too, and I think you guys like us. So the whole like liking where you work thing is important within our culture.
Yeah.
And keep it in mind.
Yeah, and I think as the founder of the company, you have to drive how you create that culture. Like that may be your biggest responsibility in the early stages. Sure. As you're bringing people on, you've got to drive those things. And it could just be the simple stuff like, hey, you know what? Every Friday afternoon we're gonna have a happy hour.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a keg and we're gonna play beer pong or whatever. We're gonna hang out and get to know each other because that's important culturally. Right? Whatever it is to you, I'm not saying that's what it has to be, but whatever that is to you, you've got to figure that out, and you've got to drive that forward, and you've got to make sure that every single person that you bring on board, like, makes it through that filter of, hey, does that person represent those things? Because if they don't, like Billie Jean said earlier, you got to trust your gut and not bring that person on at all.
Yeah.
I think one of the best moves that I ever made was hiring Sarah Miller. Sarah Miller, God bless you. Sarah Miller was our head of people, at our business for years across multiple companies, and she just got who we were and the people that we wanted to be around and stuff like that so well that she could be that filter when I no longer had time to, when it wasn't like I could meet every single person in person.
Yeah.
That was her thing, and she knew exactly what it was and was crystal clear on it, so she could say, that's not one of our people, and move them along.
And the negative Nancy's will fuck you up. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I would watch, you get certain people in an organization, and if they're high-low people, I'm telling you guys this, you absolutely, under any circumstance, will not, I forbid you, to have negative people in your shit. Because what happens is, the second you walk away, they're in everyone else's fucking ear, trying to make them feel the same way that they feel in that moment. And guess what? It works. Because it's contagious. You are who you fucking surround yourself with. So if you have a situation where there's that one, sometimes guess what? It might be you. I know damn well, if I walk into the office on any given day, and if I'm mad as fuck, trust me, you guys come into our office and you guys think party. No, it's everybody's quiet as shit, just typing on their computers, because they're like, oh shit, Billy's in a bad mood today. Be careful. But I don't want to bring that energy to the community, because then they do it to each other, and it gets bad. So sometimes we're guilty of it ourselves. So be aware of the energy that you're transferring to the rest of your team, because then they will transfer it to each other. And negative people just fucking are horrible people. It sounds bad to say. I can't stand it. Seriously, just zero tolerance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, we're here.
Oh, yep.
Okay. I think I struggle with hiring and training.
Yeah.
Just training my people. Training the people.
Yep.
I created a process for training. Like, I'm very impatient, so I tell somebody to do something, I expect them. I learn stuff real quick. If somebody tell me something to do, I learn it like within an hour.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of created a a training platform that will work for a couple employees, but then when I bring on somebody else, it does not work. So would you suggest just during the hiring process, I look for certain traits that person can be trained like that, or
Homework assignment, yo. Give them like a small activity of the larger activities that they're going to do and see if they do it. Like one of the best ways that we found Karen, who's new, some of you saw her interview. Where are you, Karen? Somewhere. Oh, there she is. But during her group interview, which we did live stream, that's a whole different culture thing. There's 5 of them sitting there, and I kind of was having those same worries of like, holy shit, these people are the ones responding to when we're spending 200 grand in ads. That's the impression that they're getting. So I really give a fuck how this person is. So I can ask them all the hypothetical questions in the world. So what I did is I said, all right, guys, pretend someone just commented on one of our ads and they said blank. Write down what you would respond with. Immediately was able to knock out 3 people on the spot. No questions asked. They just said things that people who are really good at that job should have the awareness, with or without training, to never say. Right. So it became very clear by just giving them a little bit of homework before.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, it's a similar type of thing. We always do group interviews. We always hire people on a trial basis. So we tell them, hey, it's a 30-day trial. It's a tryout. You should be trying out for us. We're trying out for you. You know, we should make sure that we like each other, all that good stuff. But then, like, you have to know, again, those personality characteristics and values and stuff of each role, because it's different. The person that I need in sales, totally different than the person I need in support, right? Totally different. Support, I want somebody who's a natural nurturer, right? And my entire business, I looked at almost our entire business was support. Like, we wanted people to just take care of people. All the technical mumbo jumbo, we'll figure out how to do that. But can you solve the people problem? Can you make that person feel good on the other end of the phone or the other end of the computer, whatever, even if you didn't solve their problem right away, right? So that was what we looked for. So like when we interviewed those people, we would do stuff like, so we would have a camera in the interview room, and we would bring in multiple people, and then we would do stuff like there would be a piece of trash sitting on the floor. And there would be a chair that would be out of place.
Well, this is like gangster shit, right?
Yeah. Or there's 6 people going in the room, and there's only 5 chairs. And then you watch that camera and you see somebody walks in there and walks past the trash. Somebody walks in, sits down, and there's somebody else that doesn't have a seat and they don't offer the seat, right? And then there's the people who cannot do that. I cannot walk past a piece of trash without picking it up and look for a place to throw it away. In somebody's professional office where they're bringing 6 people into an interview, gosh, that's embarrassing. I don't want these people to walk into this company and see that there's trash on the floor in their interview, right? That's the way that person thinks. That's the person that I need in that job.
Dude, you just gave me so many ideas for our next live stream. Literally, everyone's going to walk in. No one's going to be in the office. You're just going to see trash balls. See, who's picking up the trash balls? We're gonna find out right now.
So it's that type of stuff, because it sounds like on the system side, it sounds like you're smart and you're getting it nailed down. Like, hey, I need repeatable systems for training those people where I don't have to be sitting next to them, because I can't sit next to every single person. And even if I do, maybe I'm going to forget to skip a step or whatever, right? It does have to be those good, repeatable systems. Recording things on video, say, hey, here's what this step is. Here's why it's really important. Here's how to do it. Getting all that down so it's scalable. But then it ultimately comes down to the person. Did I get the right person? Because if you got the right person, they're going to hustle and figure all that stuff out, right? And they're going to tell you, hey, I think my training failed me right here. I need to get it. I need some answers, right? Whereas the wrong person, you can put together the best training in the world, and they're going to screw it up. So.
We'll do a couple more questions, and then we want to hand out some awards.
So I got the mic, so I'm going to ask a question, because I'm sitting next to him, and he has
Charles,
I win.
Damn it, Charles!
No, a serious question. So Charles Bronson's my name, and I'm not from Colorado.
That's all right. We'll hold it against you.
My nephew's from Colorado. So this is a resource and a life cycle question.
All right.
Because I'm building something that is definable. And I know at some point I'm going to need some resources. And it's kind of a good combination, because you emulate what we're trying to build here. Yeah. And you would probably resource it differently after 5 years in the business than you would have in the beginning.
Sure.
And you've been through the VC thing, and you've been through the whole tech thing. Mm-hmm. So I already have an idea of what I'm going to need from a resource standpoint. Obviously not there from a life cycle standpoint yet. But when it comes to the point of, hey, I need X in this space, where's that come from?
When you say in this space, you're
in
saying
this, in
like
this,
in the agency,
yeah, in this
services
agency,
world?
in this agency services, digital marketing, Facebook world.
Can you be a little more specific too?
Yeah, what would you need the capital for? Like an acquisition or
No, just platform,
Operating?
scale, people. So in other words, going to what I envision is getting to, you're up there with 3 people, getting to the point where the proof of concept and the results are there. So I know I want to go from here to here, and I've got an
So I think
exit strategy in mind.
Sure. So I think in service businesses like this, the best thing, I mean, you've got to understand your hierarchy of funding sources, right? Number one thing in the hierarchy of funding sources is client payments. Absolutely without question, right? So, but let's say that, okay, Mike, I get all that, and I kind of went through the thing, I used my line of credit or whatever. I've used all those things, and I've hit my limit, right? And if anybody doesn't know this, every business has what's called a self-financeable growth rate. If you don't understand what that is, search for it online, self-financeable growth rate. You'll find some good articles out there about it, where you can have a formula that says my average client pays me $2,000 a month. I have margins of 45%. It takes me 90 days to get a customer, yada, yada. And it will tell you, here's how fast you can afford to grow without getting some outside capital in. You should know that number.
That's huge.
Right? You should know that number.
See, he's on that smart people shit. I told you guys, he's a good guest to have. Huh?
So self-financeable growth rate. So that way, if you know that number is 36%, but you're going for 50, you know you're going to hit some stress points there that you're going to have to figure out solutions for, and it's good to know that in advance, right? It's just helpful. So, but let's say you've gotten through all that type of stuff, and you're saying, "Hey, Mike, I need money." In a service business like this, it's typically angels from other service businesses. Hey, service businesses don't typically attract the big VC money and all that type of stuff. They don't typically attract bank debt because there's no asset to lever, right? So it's usually that, hey, Billie Jean's been doing this for 15 years, has a great business, and has got a good chunk of savings. And we had this conversation not too long ago where he was like, hey, when I'm making some money now, where do I put that, right? So other entrepreneurs are always looking for places to put some money that they think is a decent bet. And so if they say, oh yeah, look, that person grew their business to 35 people. Now he's saying, you know what, I need $250K in operating cushion to make sure that I can bring on those next 2 salespeople and next 2 account managers and not blow the whole thing up. As an entrepreneur who's been there before, I go, yeah, those sound like good decisions. I'd put my money into that, And then usually, like you said, you have an exit plan in place. With a service business, you usually have to have kind of a multi-option exit plan. So as much as I like you and I like that idea, I'm not Daddy Warbucks. I didn't sell my business for $500 million. I sold it for a much more modest number. And so if you just keep on operating your business and don't sell it, which is a very high likelihood in a service business, then just tell me, like, I get guaranteed interest and I'm going to get my principal paid out in 5 years or whatever it is, right? Or give me the option of I'm going to let it ride because I think that you're doing a great job and you've told me, hey, I want to keep on doing this for another 3 years and the plan is to sell it. And I think that you've gotten to that point where you can do that. I may say, oh, you know what, keep my money. I want to be a part of that. We'll convert it into equity so that then I can get an exit with you, So that's a mouthful. But
that's awesome.
I think that's kind of the world in the service industry.
And then I'll give you the flip side of that, right? Which me being the uneducated one who doesn't know the shit that Mike knows, right? And so for me, when I first had a company called Rethink and Relive before like all of this stuff, Paul was actually, ironically, the first person I ever hired. Cool. This was years back, and now he's here doing videos and kind of it's all full circle. But nonetheless, I was at that point where I felt like I needed cash, but I wasn't going to get any cash. But what I was great at was selling people. So there was a point where I don't remember how, because we had zero money coming in, but I had 10 people in a meeting, and everybody was down to work because they believed in the vision. And they were down to eat shit for a little bit because they believed in the vision. And even early employees here, again, guys, when I first was paying people, it wasn't I had a payroll and HR and all this bullshit. It was I went to the bank, I got cashier's checks, and said, here you go. That's what it was. It was nothing complicated. It was nothing fancy, but it fucking worked. So people genuinely believe, like you said, like it's amazing how many people money's not their highest priority. Mm-hmm. And so if you keep that in consideration and you can sell them on your vision and they agree with it, it's amazing how many people you can get to work with you to build something that's much greater. Does that make sense to everybody? So kind of 2 sides of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
And then we'll give a last question. I think you're waiting there. Sorry.
Dean Pesci. And
What up,
What's
Dean?
up, Dean?
I am from Colorado.
That's right. I've known Dean. Dean and I go way back.
Hey.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I used to have a lot more of a handle on what you were doing with your business back when you were in Denver. In the last 5 years or so, how has your business changed as far as what you're concentrating on, how you've diversified? What's changed since you've come out here, and why?
That's a great question. I don't know if that's interesting to anybody else, but I'll answer it briefly.
Yes, it is, Dan.
Well,
In other words, I'll rephrase it. So, dude, you fucking sell your company for all this money, then you move out to the beach in San Diego. What the fuck do you do now?
Yeah.
That's what it really said. So, dude, that's the translation.
So, and I'd be happy to give you more details offline too, so I don't bore everybody to death. I went through, so personally, and again, this goes to the whole, the entrepreneur. What's your mindset? What's your vision? All that type of stuff, right? I went through this period of time where for me it was all about how do I grow a business big, 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 big. Needed more people, more money, more revenues, more offices, all that type of stuff. So it was doing acquisitions, and we had a big team and all that. And then I sold that business, that first business, to a company that was in the same space, I thought had the same vision, and had figured out some shit that we had not figured out. They were 10 times our size. They had also started about 10 years earlier, not 10 years earlier, but earlier. But they had figured some things out that we had not. And we decided, hey, let's sell to them because we think that the cultural values are similar and all that type of stuff, and they've just got a better game plan figured out. And we're going to go and be a part of that. And I went there, and I was the head of the small business unit, which was a, I don't remember, let's call it a $50 million a year business. And I lasted like 60 days. And thank God I had written into the contract, in the acquisition contract, that, hey, I have no ties. I get all my money, and then you guys have to work to keep me, right? And I lasted about 60 days, and for the first time in my life, with all the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, all the crazy ass shit, not knowing if you can hit payroll, and my wife, at her limit with me, because of my crazy chasing dreams and all that. For the first time in my career, I could not sleep at night. And I had like a 10-day run where I literally, I don't know how much I slept per night. I mean, I was miserable. My head was so screwed up because I had put myself in the wrong place. I had realized that I had sold to the wrong company, that their cultural values did not align with what our cultural values were. And I could not believe that I did that. Honestly, I could not believe. I did all the homework to try and figure that out in advance, and I screwed it up.
You know what's so ironic about that? Because here you are, you sell the company, which is kind of the dream, right? You think of, you sell the big company, you have the big payout, and then those 10 days are the worst days.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. It was awful. I literally, and this is how it ended. It's pretty funny. I was on a flight out of Denver to go sell to the Verizon executive team in New Jersey, I think is where they're headquartered. And it was an awful blizzard there. It was an awful blizzard in Denver. I'm sitting on the plane. I'm already kind of nervous about flying, but I talked myself okay, I got to get on this frickin' plane because it's a big deal with Verizon, and the company's going to shit if I don't, go and do it, and blah, blah, blah. And the doors had closed on the plane, and I literally was like, ding! And, the stewardess comes by, and I'm like, I want to get off the plane.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I want to get off the plane. Is it too late? Is there some legal point where you can't open the doors back up? And she's like, no, I can let you off the plane. I was like, let me off the plane. I got off the plane, called my wife, said, hey, I'm quitting. Called my business partner, said, hey, I'm quitting. Called up the boss, said, hey, I'm done. And that was it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
Yeah. Hey, because that's what it's all about, right? Choices. It's about fucking choices. Well done.
Tequila.
Jason. It's Jason.
So anyway, what has come of that was I went through a period where it was all just about lifestyle decisions. Moving to San Diego, little office on the beach, all that type of stuff. No employees for a period of time. Feeding my entrepreneurial ADD, as many of you know. Got an e-commerce business, got a publishing business, got a software business, got a service business, all kinds of stuff. I am now coming out of that, which is interesting. It's been an interesting psychological kind of thing for me here over the last, say, 6 months or so.
CARMA, this is the flexibility part.
Yeah. And I'm coming out of that, and I'm getting really clear and really excited about a handful of things that I want to build again. I don't want to give up my lifestyle stuff, so that'll be an interesting balance. But I want to build. I've got things that I'm really excited about again. So that's kind of next phase.
You know, it's crazy too, to toot your horn a little bit. The one thing that I'm not a fan of, and a lot of you know this, is I'm not a fan of like hacks. You never hear me use words like that, or like these shortcuts, or like, oh, just copy the funnel. You see me like explode on people on live streams about it, because it doesn't exist. And when you truly acquire the skills, and as you guys can see, it's so much deeper than just buying and selling shit. But when you truly acquire the skills to build a business, you can never be broke. So Mike's telling you about all these companies, like I had my ADD, but what he's forgetting to tell you is he's making a shitload of money at all of them because he understood the core principles of how to build and run a business. And that's really what I hope everyone comes into camp with, is just fucking master this stuff. Because once you do, the sky is the freaking limit.
Yeah, and it's fun. You know?
It's fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Well, cheers. Any final question? You want to close out, Dan?
Yeah, you mentioned the gig economy.
Yeah.
Gig economy versus permanent employees, and what type of programs or employment packages do you put in place for gig economy people?
So that's a great question. So right now we are 100% gig, and it's awesome right now. I don't know if we're just in this period of time, and I don't know. Maybe we've just gotten lucky. Maybe we're getting our processes better in terms of evaluating what kind of people we need there. But we're finding these people that are just incredible. We're paying them a fraction of what we would be paying them, to be a full-time employee or anything like that. But they're still a part of our team. Like, they're not just a contractor that's, okay, send me a job and I'll get it done and send it back to you. Like, they're a part of our team. They care about the things that we're doing. They get to know each other, even though it's almost entirely virtual. We have 5 people here now locally. So we do have people that come into our office every once in a while and stuff like that. But they're like, it's like the mom with 2 kids who's also working 8 hours a day at Hewlett-Packard. And she's managing some stuff for us, and she's incredibly talented and is just taking stuff and running with it. Like, we're finding people like that. And so right now we're 100% on that. I'm not saying that every business can do that, and not every business can do that 100%, and we won't be 100% like that soon, because we will need some full-time employees. But that's what we're doing right now, and it's really cool. It's working.
Where are you finding them?
Our go-to has always been a stinking Craigslist ad.
Same here.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It works.
But you'd have to talk. My business partner, honestly, the dude is a master at this stuff. He has a whole system around finding talent that I think is second to none. It's part mechanical, part, evaluating the characteristics of the person, all that type of stuff. But he's turned it into a freaking machine. I mean, we've literally talked about just turning that into an entire business for companies.
Dude, when I put it this way, you guys
on that?
What's that?
You have a course on
No,
that?
we don't.
when I need something like process oriented, like I'll pull up the direct message and like put like Mike and Josh in the computer, like, hey guys, do you have a worksheet for this? And Josh in 2 seconds, like, here you go. You're also going to need this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like every day I wake up feeling like I don't know anything about business. We're not bad at it, but fuck, there's so much to learn. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They really did. He said you invented process.
Oh, yeah.
But no,
process.
Yeah, it's fucking
That's right.
everything. So you guys, let's stand up
processes.
for Mike and give him a big round of applause. For coming
Thanks,
by.
everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Coming by.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Always dropping fireballs. The man, seriously, like, there's just levels, The goal is to always be the dumbest person in the fucking room.